Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel How We Move the Decimal, and welcome to another body doubling video. As I list, you list. This is only a 16-minute long video, so let's see how many listings you can get up in 16 minutes. Now I am cheating because I've already uploaded all of the photos. I am not taking any photos at all. I do those on a separate day, and quite frankly, it's arduous. I usually take an entire weekend because I take over my dining room. I do not have a standalone eBay area, so everything gets set up, everything gets taken down. I did do a pretty big photographing weekend, but since it's summer, I'm going to have more time than just the weekends to do that. And hopefully, I'll be able to get more photographing done. That is what I dislike the most and what takes me the longest. But it's nice to photograph and then have a backlog? I don't know if I'd call it a backlog, to have a back stock of the photos so I can just make drafts, which is really nice. My husband does do it differently. He lists straight off his phone, so he'll create the listing, take the photos and everything straight off his phone, but he tends to do more hard goods and I tend to do more clothing, soft goods, and recently, books. This is kind of embarrassing to admit, this is what I'm listing. I think I listed it 2 weeks ago, and it has been a year and a half since we've been to these bins. So this has been sitting unlisted in my great room downstairs for a year and a half, which is very sad and lonely. And if you have a large death pile, you're not alone. Welcome to the club. This is a Franklin puppet. And I'm trying to think, he was a PBS cartoon, but I don't know if he was part of like a bigger cartoon, like if he was a spin-off of somebody. So I went ahead and put Franklin. I wanted to say he was like Arthur-esque, but not Arthur. My kids were not old enough when Franklin came out, and I was too old. I think my husband's little brother might have been young when Franklin came out, but honestly, I have no interactions with this little turtle. Not really sure who he was. My husband knew who he was right away. He's the one that pulled him out of the bin. He spotted him. Puppets do tend to do well, though. So, in general, I would pick up puppets, especially larger puppets. I will not, for $1 million, pick up a ventriloquist dummy. Because I was the R.L. Stein generation. I read Goosebumps. I know what the dummy does. They will not come into my house. I am absolutely terrified of ventriloquist dummies. And goats. But that's another story. So, I will not pick up a ventriloquist dummy, but an Arthur puppet is fine. We've sold an Alf puppet before. I want to say like a raccoon or something, like an animal of some sort. I don't know where everybody is located that's watching my videos, but if you have like VBS, so Vacation Bible School in the summer, they usually, each program comes with a puppet. So sometimes you'll find puppets at church sales because of VBS, but not all the time. Elementary schools tend to have puppets. Kindergartens tend to have puppets. Our children's museum had a inventory sale a couple years ago, and they were selling a lot of their puppets, but their puppets were rough. Lots of field trips, lots of kids touching them, and I wouldn't have bought them. Even though I just said, if you find puppets, buy them. If your puppets are rough, don't buy them. If you would not stick your hand in the puppet, don't buy it. I did not see any major damage with Franklin. I would not have bought it if I would have had to sewn it up. Some people do this. Some people buy them, like anything, shirts, puppets, whatever, buy them, fix them, mend them, sew them up. My skills are not that great. I will mend my own stuff. I will mend my kids' stuff. I'm not going to mend anything to sell because you would tell that I mended it. This is a yellow Caesar's Palace polo. And it's a very pastel yellow, and the color was hard to really define because, again, I have a 1970s dining room table, and it's very orange. But recently, I've started throwing down a white tablecloth, which has helped when color correcting, and I've been definitely using that to color correct things that don't normally photograph color-wise for me. Blues and purples tend to have an issue. Yellows and whites, creams and whites all have issues. And since I know the background is white, I'm able to color balance it a lot better, which is very nice. Some people just go ahead and do the background removal tool on eBay. I find it quicker and easier just to color balance. The background removal, it's hit and miss with me. Sometimes it removes it, sometimes it leaves part of it, sometimes it removes part of the item. It takes too long for me then to go back and correct that. So using a white tablecloth to color balance is much easier. I'm not Gen X, but I'm Gen X, but I'm an Xennial. I don't know where I'm at, but I was talking with some of my students and they were like, hey, did you have to manually, control cameras? And I was like, yes. And I had to wait an entire week to get my prints back because I was too cheap to do 2-day or 1-day printing. But I always got doubles because you had to share with the people that were in the pictures. So when I say like color balancing and stuff, I used to think of doing that on the camera. We have a DSLR now that doesn't do that. I'm sure it does. I don't know all the widgets and I cannot get it to connect to Wi-Fi. It's supposed to connect to Wi-Fi, cannot get it to connect. It's just a brick at this point. But it does take great pictures. And it's probably, I want to say 5 years old by now, and I will probably, if this goes somewhere, have to update it. In my condition description, I always put no rips or stains. If there is a defect, I do put it in the condition description. I also put it in the description, and I will put in the condition description what the defect is and what photo it's in. So seen in photo. That gives them the buyer the ability to look at it. So if I say like stain in photo, see in photo, and they just see it's a tiny pinpoint stain, that might not be a big issue. But if I just put stain, they might be like, ugh, I don't want to buy it because they mentioned stain. So I always make sure to photograph that. Sometimes I will photograph with a ruler for size comparison, especially if I think it's small but photographs bigger or photographs smaller and is much bigger. I also will put like didn't try stain removal or tried stain removal too, because I'd hate for someone to buy that when I've already tried stain removal. And I'm pretty darn good, like I'm going to pat myself on the back here. I'm pretty darn good at laundry after having 3 kids. If I'm not getting the stain out, the chances are the stain's not coming out without damaging the item. So I always want to put in there like tried stain removal, so they're not like, I'll just get it but I can get the stain out. But this is my plug for my new washing machine. I love my top load washing machine. It has a tub fill where you can soak things overnight, and that has been absolutely amazing. I'm able to laundry strip in my washing machine. I don't have to take over the bathtub. I don't have to worry about lugging wet clothes from upstairs to downstairs to my washing machine and then having to rinse and spin and then wash. I can do it all in my washing machine, and I love it. And I did not flood my garage this winter. It's amazing. I love it. It's great. I will, though, the one downfall to this, my water bill has went up a lot since we have this. Yes, it's HE, but apparently it still uses a crap ton of water. My energy bill did not go up. Water bill did go up. You went up to the point that it almost went up. So be aware of that, but I'm also using that like tub fill a lot more. I'm using it to laundry strip things that I maybe laundry strip once every 6 months. I'm now laundry stripping every month Or every time I like bed sheets, I love the laundry strip bed sheets where I would do that once a year. I'm doing that every month now, which again can contribute to the large, massive use of water. Not seeing a big increase in energy bills, seeing a big increase in water bills. But again, I think it's worth it. I might be spoiled. Like this. Okay, so the backpack had some damage. Some pulling in the mesh on the back, shown in pictures. It is so minimal pulling. Very, very minimal pulling. But I want to list that because I don't want it to come back where the buyer's like, hey, this was damaged, you didn't list it. Even if I took a picture of it and didn't list it, I want to list it too. And I want to make sure that they know that it is in a picture. And that is what I do when it's minimal damage. Now, this, I knew that damage was not going to mess with the resale value. Again, if it's something, I don't sell high dollar goods. If it's a $15 good and it's damaged, likely that's going to mess with the resale value. If that messes with the resale value, it's not worth my time to try to fix it. I will not mend. I will not sew repair. I would rather sell that with the acknowledgement of the rip than I would try to repair that. And I think that's kind of, I don't want to say shady, but I think that's a little iffy for individuals that repair them and don't say that they've been repaired. Just because it's no longer factory, I don't know. I would say that. I would say they've been repaired. Even if it's like an amazing repair, I would say they've been repaired. I would take a picture of where I repaired it. But, and I've sold these already. These are Orvis pants. I can get Orvis fairly easy around here. I can get Columbia fairly easily. I cannot get Patagonia to save my life around here. I don't think what the other major brand is that it's just ridiculous. We're not getting it. North Face. It is really hard to get North Face where I'm at. So again, Columbia all day, every day. Especially the fleeces. I don't know why everybody and their brother has a Columbia fleece. They all donate them to the Goodwills. I can get those. Unfortunately, the past several things I've thrifted that were Columbia were for personal use. So I thrifted myself a rain jacket and my middle daughter a rain jacket, which are very nice. And she was wearing her rain jacket. We got a crap ton of rain a couple weeks ago. And she wore it to school and she's like, this rain jackets. And I'm like, I'm sorry that we've been cheap and never bought you a rain jacket that rain jackets. She also said it didn't crinkle. So with the rain jackets and didn't crinkle. So that's my plug, I guess, for Columbia rain jackets. But again, with Orvis, can get that. We are not in like a high outdoor area. There's lots of fishing around where we are. Freshwater, not saltwater. I wish there was saltwater. But people aren't coming here to like do outdoor activities. They're not coming here to hike and stuff. So all of that stuff is for other things. We have stuff like this because of scouts and because of camping. We are going camping fairly soon. We are tent campers because an RV is very expensive. And we can't justify an RV that we're going to use once or twice a year. But we did upgrade our tent and I can stand up in it. And that has just made everything so much better. Also, blow-up mattresses that are too high, again, make everything so much better. I didn't realize how much better that they would make things, but they did. So I don't dread camping as much because it is more comfortable. I don't have to like wiggle around to try to put clothes on, so that's super nice. 40 Grit, again, this is another more, stout brand, more of a working brand, so I'm able to find those more too. Duluth Trading, that's what it is. Okay, Duluth Trading, I can find Duluth Trading fairly well too. Am I finding it every time I thrift? No. Am I finding it at least once a month? Yes. And And I really like, these are good quality pants. I was really sad they fit nobody in my house, but they're very good quality pants. Got those at the bins also, but they're heavy. So I understand why people weren't buying them, because you do pay per pound, but they weren't that heavy. They're less than 2 pounds. So I paid maybe $2 for them, and they are a decent quality pant. I could see why people like them. Duluth Trading again does well for me. It's not high end. It's slightly higher than Columbia, lower than North Face when I find it. However, I've noticed that North Face is losing its appeal. The North Face stuff I do have is marked cheaper than I normally sell it, and it's still not selling. So maybe it's losing its luster, it's losing its appeal. It's the Hydro Flask to the Stanley Cup. But I'm hungry enough, I guess. We will sell things. $15.99 is our price point. I've heard other people say, $30 is my price point. $50 is my price point. Ours is $15.99, which is kind of low. As I've said in past videos, I love AI descriptions. I love them so much. They're amazing. I do put what I want the customer to see, what the buyer to see at the very top, because I know that this description is complete, total bull. And most people aren't going to read it because it's a fluff piece. But eBay likes it. It fills it out, and it does my job for me. And thank you, AI, for being useful. I also like the eBay price suggestions sometimes, but don't always follow them. A lot of times they don't know what they're doing. If it's semi-close to what I think I was going to sell it for, that's fine. But if it's ridiculously high or ridiculously low, that's a lot of times they're like, ugh, they probably don't know what they're talking about. I hope you're productive. I hope you listed at least one item. And I hope you have a wonderful, fabulous, productive day. And please like and subscribe.